Oh, there we go.
Hi, Israel. Thank you so much for being here tonight. We know that this call is about the death pile service or the regates or the removal or the return or whatever you don't want to deal with regarding listing your inventory. So, Israel, I would love to know how you even got started in this space. Were you a seller? Do you still sell? What your service is, what you provide, and so on and so forth. Go ahead and take it away.
Absolutely. Andrew, Amanda, Ryan, thank you guys for having me. Um, so I'll just start from way back in the beginning when I saw one of Miles's YouTube videos, maybe around 3 years ago. And I'm like, I'm just gonna start. And I started. And I went at it, starting out retail arbitrage, online arbitrage, wholesale. Fast forward, it was like maybe 2 years down. I had systems in place. Everything was like, very, very organized. I had, all the VAs, the prep centers. I was very, very, very big on systems. And another thing that we just talked about is niche products. I'll jump back on that maybe later in the call. I have some stuff to say about that. And then come one day, I go to my prep center. I visit them a lot. I drop off some stuff a lot from local distributors that they don't ship out. I just pick up stuff from. And there were once sellers too, and they were throwing out a bunch of stuff. And as fate would have it, me and my curiosity, I was like, what are you guys throwing out? And they showed me, and it was a pile of, really good branded items like, vitamins, electronics, not like private label stuff, anything like that, stuff that you would see at any like retail store. And I was like, wait a minute, let me try to sell it on eBay. Let me just try. So I did, and essentially the warehouse fulfilled it from there. And I was like, what I just did now, what I just found out was actually very interesting. From there, I realized warehouses and 3PLs have excess inventory. If my 3PL has it, I'm sure other 3PLs have it. So I start calling up every 3PL essentially in the country from all the directories, from every LinkedIn, from, Twitter, from Instagram, from everywhere. And my pitch would be, hi, my name is Israel, calling from a company called Emerald Management. We help warehouses and 3PL sell excess inventory. Just wanted to know if you had anything that we could help you sell. A lot of no's, a lot of yeses, but it ultimately led, to some good yeses where it's like that's a really good idea. Where essentially the pitch is, I would say, all the inventory that you have, leave it there, send us a list. We will list it on eBay, we will sell it on eBay, and you will fulfill it. Essentially, we become a micro client of yours. So we get more money back, and you don't have to give it to liquidators for pennies on the dollar. And right now, that's how I started, and I'm working with a couple of 3PLs across the country doing that. Kind of a very interesting drop shipping approach from, I guess, D2C from, with excess inventory, which is like bizarre. So then I go to my basement, fast forward a little bit, and I saw all my removal orders that have been there maybe for 6 months, 8 months that I have not yet looked at, right? And I'm sure everybody knows that feeling. Every seller, every warehouse, every 3PL, anybody. So I decided to list those on eBay and I sold them. And then I realized, okay, let's think a little bit. If I had this problem with removal orders and excess inventory that I didn't want to deal with, I'm sure literally every other seller has that problem. And that's when I started diff um, a different outreach of reaching out to sellers other than warehouses and being like, hey, you probably have removal orders. We have a removal order management service where we receive removal orders from Amazon, resell them completely hands off. And it goes back to the idea of having a system. We have systems for everything, virtual assistants, prep centers, deactivation services, reimbursement services, but did we ever have a system for our removal orders? What were the options for that? One, you could liquidate it for pennies on the dollar. Number two, you could dispose it and throw money away. Or number three, you could receive it and do it yourself. But when you're doing it yourself, what are you doing? You're doing basically a $7 per hour task when you're really supposed to be sourcing, finding new products, building relationships, and focusing on the $50 per hour task. And essentially, that is where our service started, and it's still going.
I just want to like compliment you. I wrote in the chat, I was like, what a hustler. Like you realized that you had a problem and you're like, well, duh, if I have this problem, everybody else has this problem. So let's create a service. That is, and then you like that just blows my mind. Like, of course, I know this problem exists. I deal with it every day. I have prep center clients that deal with this every day. It really is brilliant. And I want to commend you for your work ethic because that is not easy. Um, and you must be a super organized person to even deal with this or come up with systems to deal with this. So, Emerald management. You talked about the journey. So now let's talk about what Emerald management exactly can do for you regarding removals. Like how does the process exactly work for, say, Brian, Carlos, Dari, Sebastian, whoever reaches out to you? Like what is the process?
Right. So the onboarding is very easy. Usually, most of my calls that I got on with new clients take no more than 2 minutes because all I tell them to do is set the removal order address to the address that I give them. And it's one of the few warehouses that I subcontract and that I work with to do this service. Essentially, from there, once inventory starts coming in, removal orders or any excess inventory that you want to send over from your home, from your warehouse, which usually starts off like that. Someone's like, I have a bunch of stuff from my warehouse, and going forward, I want all removal orders to come to you. All removal orders come in, they get graded, inspected, essentially, binned, listed, from there, just sold. And Um, clients, you really get to one spreadsheet that's consistent, showing all of the inventory that has been checked in, like to date, and that's going to keep going and going. And another one is a statement that we send out once a month, showing all of the orders, all of the fees, all the shipping costs, essentially everything that we have done to arrive to the payout and why the payout is what it is.
Is that a Google sheet or like how do you do that?
Yeah, it is a Google Sheet. So interestingly enough, I've been u using Google Sheets since selling on Amazon. I didn't like any inventory management program that has been out there for Amazon, so I built it myself with a developer. I held on to that developer, and we're still working together. So essentially, we built a system where at the end of the month, we download the entire statement from eBay. If anyone knows eBay's API, it's from the 1980s. It is the oldest thing out there, and so is their user interface. But that's another thing. So we would download the statement from the last month. From there, we're able to pinpoint every order ID to which client it belongs to, and it auto generates a statement for each client. And from there, we just send out the payouts. So everything is complete. We really completely customized everything so far, from using the API to the payouts to keeping track, organization, my virtual assistants that handle all the listing, organizational, all the warehouses that upload inventory to our scanning softwares and all of that. But everything is completely organized with the goal in mind of getting the most money back to clients as possible.
Thank you, Israel. So we actually, Andrew and I personally use Emerald Management Service. I don't have an affiliate link, just letting you all know. I'm not talking them up just because. So I never have shipped stuff to you specifically. Andrew does that. But I will confirm that our call, our one-on-one call, was super fast, super clear, super efficient. You definitely have your systems down. You know what you're doing. And I will confirm that Andrew was like, when he got the shipment out to you, he was like, this was easy as hell. Threw everything in the box, put a shipping label on it that said Emerald Management and our name, and then boom, it's fine. It has been super easy. We've already gotten our first payment out from you, and we haven't, I think we've been using you a month. I don't know. Less than that, maybe. I don't know. Um, but the whole process has been seamless, and I just want to compliment you on that because, you know, everybody in here knows that when you hire somebody or you outsource something, things can get lost in translation, right? You're unsure of people's processes, and some people just don't have that part down. And I'm just really blown away from just the journey and then getting started and then the actual process to get started was simple. And I feel like I'm literally talking to a friend. I can be like, Israel, what's up with this? And you're just like, like you answer so fast too. Um, so I could compliment you on that. Does anybody have any questions for Israel? Or Israel, do you have anything that you can think of other things that you would like to share?
Mm, I'll wait for some questions so I can get the
Okay.
ball rolling.
Sure thing. Go ahead, Sebastian.
Okay, perfect. Because I'm actually am looking for a service like yourself. Since I do shoes, I think last month alone I had like 60 units in returns. And as you said, like I'm not really trying to deal with that. It's not really worth my time to pull back, $10 out of a $40 shoe. It's just not worth my time. So I guess for the process, as you mentioned before, it is relatively easy. I guess suppose do we just simply change our returning address to your one of your warehouses and you guys will deal with all that?
Yeah, it sounds like there should be more steps, but that's literally all you have to do. And clients ask me like, do I need to send you what's coming over, manifest? No. No, don't like I've learned the simpler you make it for somebody, like the better, and that's all I'm about. Just as simple as possible.
And another question, I guess, would be: are you guys off commission? So you guys are incentivized to make whatever, get that return back of reimbursement or liquidate on whatever softwares you guys use, eBay, Poshmark, all of that as well.
So essentially it comes down to our fee structure. So we work off a 50/50 net revenue split. So the sale price minus the eBay fee minus the shipping label cost. And we take $3 per order as a fulfillment fee apart from that. Having said that, we always try to get the most money back as possible. So we also don't sell below a certain threshold or try not to. So say we get an item that's worth around $10, we're not gonna sell it for $10 because we would be negative. We essentially try to bundle, either multi-packs, two packs, three packs bundles to get it at least above $40 so we can get, a decent amount of money back. And we're always like testing eBay's market because as we all know, selling on Amazon is extremely different than selling on Walmart, and both of those platforms are extremely different than selling on eBay. Every algorithm is different, and you have to if you're really diving into one, you have to know one very well, and that's what I've been focused on for really the past like 2 years.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, that's
So
no good. That's all the questions I have so far.
thanks, Sebastian. So I would recommend, this is my 2 cents here. If you just want stuff out of your face, out of your hair, you don't want to deal with it anymore, send it to Israel. If you are going to be upset that something sells for $40, do not send it to him. It's as simple as that. However, Dari had a great question on how do you gauge the sell price, the list price, or what you'll accept as a price for it to sell.
Yeah, absolutely. So we go off the eBay and completed and sold listings, which is just a filter you could put on when searching an item. And from there, you could see what an item has sold for in the past. So if that item in the past week, say, sold for like 30, 35, $40, we'll put it at maybe the average price just to see how people react to it and kind of go from there.
Thank you. That's a very clear question. And as business owners, you're running a service, so you're going to want to make the most commission possible. So you're not going to lowball. You're not going to list it at the lowest possible price,
That's right.
because if they don't make money, you're not going to make money.
Mhm.
Go ahead, Sebastian.
With do you have other liquidity options other than, doing simple the T-save the claims for reimbursement, eBay, Poshmark, all that? Is there any other options you got to do, such as like wholesale pallets to like third party liquidation sites? So you guys, if there's any like the slower moving items where it's like, hey, this item has been in our books for almost 2 months now, you could probably just notify. If you notify like sell, like, hey, stuff's been here for 2 months. Do you just want to just put it in pallet and be like, hey, just take whatever we get from it, so you're not just holding it. So they'll get some money back as well.
That's a great question.
That's exactly what I'm dealing with right now and have been for like months now. So anything past 90 days, um, we have systems in place to essentially lower prices. So after 30 days, we'll either put a certain sale coupon, we'll lower the price, we'll put it in like a different sale, we'll change up the title. There's so many things, that's just knowing eBay and how to configure with eBay just to get it bumped up in the listings. There's a lot of things that we have in place as rules, but after 90 days, if we don't see a lot of movement, I that's one thing I'm actually dealing with right now. I don't want to go back to a seller and be like, "Hey, I'm just going to dispose," because initially that's what I've been trying to avoid. And I think I kind of cracked that code. I did put a certain sale in place that I'm testing out, just a very high sale, like 30, 40%, and kind of bumping up the price. Um, but in a nutshell, there's a lot of things I'm trying out right now to avoid that. But worst comes to worst, I'm going to approach the seller, send them again a Google sheet of every item that's past 90 days with no sales, and be like, "Do you want to dispose this, or do you want us to return it to you?"
And then at that point, you got to really gauge, is it worth it coming back to your house? Like, I, you sent it to Israel for a reason. I don't want to deal with it. Um,
Just really quick, Sebastian, I didn't answer your question fully. I don't have a lot of liquidators like buyers right now. Most of those liquidators, they want to buy in bulk, so they want like two minimum like 1,000 units, 500 units, things like that. Nobody wants a mixed pallet. What I am doing is approaching a lot of whatnot sellers that sell a lot of like different items locally in my area. Yeah, you already know.
that was my next question about what.
Exactly. Yep. And seeing if they would want the product, but again, that's still kind of in the process. Hasn't been my focus too much, but is going to be soon due to lack of space that, we're having.
I see those mixed palettes, and it's like on Facebook Marketplace or wherever that's catered to whatnot. So I'm glad, I like that so many of us had that thought process too. Does anybody else have any other questions for Israel?
What are the smallest accounts you deal with? Like, would you take like 20 items?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Sorry,
Is
it's
there a
really loud.
minimum?
Yeah, yeah, we usually don't really ask how we're okay with working with any size seller. Yeah, we'll take on 20 products. We've gotten like smaller amount of quantity than that. To answer your question, yeah, totally fine. We'll format it a way to get the most money back that we can.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I could think of.
It's just so simple and straightforward of a service that, you know.
It really is. How can people reach out to you? Do you have a website? DM you? How? You have an email?
Yes, I mean, I'm all over Instagram, Twitter. I mean, every seller on here, I've probably cold DM'd you in some way, shape, or form.
I
At some
still get DMs. You must have like a bot or something.
point. No, I have it's all virtual assistants, and they don't know who's my client, who's not. But the best way is my Calendly link, where you could just, set up a call after this or
That's
whatever.
perfect. Do you have that link that you can drop in the chat?
Yes.
Great. If you guys follow me on Instagram at All Out Thompsons, I did tag Israel in our stories just now. And if you're in our Discord, he just recently joined. So you'll see Israel FBA removal, whatever his username is. Andrew, what's your question?
I should put my link in the chat
Thank you.
and my website.
So yeah, I got a quick question for you. Let's say, like you were saying, overstock can be a problem, and if stuff's just sitting for a while, is that something that you people can reach out to you and be like, if I reached out to you, for example, like, hey, what do you have? I want some items for my whatnot, and like you make a deal with sellers for whatnot.
Yeah, that can definitely be done. The only thing I'm concerned about is shipping to a certain area because I just feel some of these items that I have, even though I could get a bulk of them in a box, shipping might be a concern for some people where it might not be worth it because, anyone that sells on Whatnot, you know that you don't know what really you're gonna get, what price, and people go on there for a deal. So just be very careful of that to like the risk of there is like breaking even or losing money, and you never really know unless you have a very big audience.
Or if you need a really
Yeah, I was gonna
big
say.
tax write-off.
That's right.
I was gonna say, yeah, it's if you don't have a big following and whatnot, it's definitely a big risk because I've sold like very expensive shoes for like $1 because I didn't know what I was doing, and it's whatever. I'm learning, but it got a lot of viewers, but we're trying to make some money too or recoup, let's say. Um, I know that whatnot is a volume game. Like keep doing shows and like when you reach a certain followers, then you can start making like decent money. But like, I guess it all depends on how hard you go on each platform. Like, you're an eBay specialist, right? If we could have someone on here that's does amazing on whatnot because they focus just on whatnot. So
Yeah. Some of the downfall is, yeah, it sells for $1, but you gained a following. So it's the cost of doing business, right? It's just like when you're taking a loss, sending stuff to Israel, just to recoup some money. That's the cost of doing business. And I will tell you, I don't know who in here is a 7-figure or up seller on Amazon, but in our prep center, yeah, Sebastian, I don't know who's a 7-figure seller in here. However, you can tell as a prep center owner, and I prep for 7-figure sellers, they're quick to get rid of stuff. If it's not gonna make the money, if they can't list it on Amazon, boom, it's going to Israel. They're done. They make the decisions quick and they get over it and move on. Focus on what's gonna make you the highest ROI and get rid of the rest. Then there are smaller sellers that are like gonna nickel and dime. And that's the problem. It's a very limiting mindset to be in, and that's definitely what sets the 7-figure sellers apart. They're not dwelling over the fact that they're going to take a loss. They're just like, oh, well, I can get something. It's better than nothing. And then it's not like sitting around collecting dust. So again, Israel, this service is highly needed in all of the reselling businesses. Is there this was my question. Is there anything that you will not take? Like, is there a specific category? Is it like hazmat, dangerous goods, oversized? Is there anything you will not take?
Yes, that's a great question. Please don't send me hazmat stuff, aerosol cans. I don't know what else is there, like gasoline. Don't send me aerosol and gasoline, please.
Okay, great. Nothing that will explode on the way to his
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
service centers. So you've completely removed yourself. You're not prepping this stuff. You are a third party, correct? You're not even seeing the product. So or go ahead. I'm sure you get inspection stickers inspection photos and whatnot.
Sure. I was gonna say, yeah, I'm really focusing on how same thing I did with Amazon is to be completely hands off in this service. So what I've been doing is like there was one idea to get a warehouse in 3PL, but I found it better to subcontract with my prep center that I've been doing this with, and now I'm working with a few other 3PLs actually in that area, and it's essentially like a white label service where I come in and I'm the client and I tell them this is just what needs to be done. Here's the software, here's everything. Stuff comes in, this is how you check it in, these are the rules, and we kind of gauge it from there.
That's incredible. Does anybody else have any other questions for Israel?
I don't know if I missed it at any point, but is there a lowest value item that can be taken?
Yeah, good question. So when stuff comes in, say it's around the $10 point, we've realized selling below like $40 is not worth it. So we'll take that $10 item and either wait or combine it with another item to at least make the listing around $40 to get a good amount of money back, because anything below that is shipping and fees kind of take over, where nobody really makes money because then we have to split and take the fulfillment fee.
Gotcha.
Sebastian asked if you have a website. If I remember correctly, you do not, because it's very much word of mouth.
No, I do.
You do? Okay. See, I've never seen it. You gain business without even having a website.
I've learned a lot about outreach just doing this service. It's been so fun to learn this stuff.
So, as a business owner, and you're putting yourself out there, thank you for dropping the website link in the chat. I just want to ask you about that real quick. So, when you're doing outreach, like you're completely having a VA do this, correct? Most of the time, you're showing up, you're showing your face in calls like this, you're showing up in Discord communities, you're showing up in the comments. Well, maybe that's a VA. And you're showing up at networking events. What do you think has been the highest ROI for you to gain business for your service? Because there's other people in here that have a service to offer, and I'm curious what your feedback would be for that.
I would definitely say providing like the best service, but then at the end of the month, after I do my statements, I essentially give myself a task to go to you know, every client and ask like how it's been going, if they could write a review, and if anything, if we could collaborate on like a collaboration post, to post on their Twitter, Instagram, which creates a lot of word of mouth stuff, being seen and get more followers that way. And I would definitely say that's been really big, the word of mouth for sure, like you said.
Word of mouth, sure. Do you think that you've gained any clients from going to Miami Sellers Conference? Did you find that conference beneficial to your business?
That was the ultimate goal, and I think I did really well. My goal there was to go and talk to as many people as possible, and I don't know if anyone was here, but I definitely have talked to you. Um, I mean, most likely I've talked to you. So I did go up to a lot of people, and I think it was like, hey, like, what do you do with your removal orders? And some people know I do removal orders, and some people that are my clients. And I knew, since we are in a very niche space, I knew that was, being the face of it, and being there, speaking, and like, you know kind of what was called matching a voice or a service to a face type of thing. That was where I had to like shine and get the most work done those like 2 days. And I think I did really well. And from there, it's been going great.
Yeah, I think Andrew was pointing at himself because we met you in Miami. So you gained us as a client from Miami. Um, I personally would also say that networking events are huge for business. If you don't talk to anybody, then how is anybody going to know about your business? And it's also the cheapest, I think, one of the cheapest besides word of mouth. That's free, right? One of the cheapest barriers to entry. You're not paying for advertising, you're not paying for marketing. You just saying, "Hi, hello, what do you do?"
Yeah.
Anyway, Sebastian, go ahead.
Yeah, since you do operate in a warehouse, there is a finite amount of space. Currently, do you have a problem or issue where certain clients are taking more space than the average, probably any other client. Maybe one client's, selling carpets and all that. Do you have a set amount of square foot or square cubes or whatever it's called, like pure client, unless, or do you like notify like, hey, you're already at 100 square feet per account, whatever? Do you have a system like that, or you haven't really experienced that problem yet where one person's taking so much space because whatever they're selling is just massive?
Sure. I mean, the good thing about this is we're able to track every item by ID. So we have like bin location. So we have like, Andrew and Amanda will know this. We have like from A to 100, A1 to 100, B1 to B100, things like that. When orders come in, we know what bin to look in to pick it and ship it out. Right. So everything goes everywhere, but we also know where everything is, what warehouse it's in, what bin location it's in, and we can find it. To answer your question, if a certain amount of clients are taking up some space, I could say yes. Again, I'm actually at that point of like figuring it out and creating a system to like just try to get something out of those items that are much older. So it's definitely been a race right now and been kind of crucial to focus on that right now more. So I would say that's what I'm up to right now.
Thank you, Israel. And, as business owners, we are all well aware that we have to come up with systems, and sometimes we have to pivot. And sometimes, if you're working with other people, they need to understand because, that's life. We have to pivot. So things change, and you have to be willing to adapt and pivot, as we all know, with the uncertainty of selling on an e-commerce platform, we are at their disposal. So we have to adapt or die, right? Um, is there any tips that you would give a seller to, I don't want to say avoid having to use your service because that would make you obsolete, right? But what's a good tip, do you think? Like genuinely, from your point of view, how to even avoid this?
Yeah, I could take this into a different topic entirely, and it's about what we talked about in the beginning. It's niching down extremely. So we talked about niching down, but I will say niche down even more, and then niche down beyond that. So I still sell on Amazon, and most of my replenishments have been with products and accounts that, are like a couple of years old maybe since I even started. So I was storefront stalking one day, maybe not one day, but I saw items where I was like, I have no idea what this is, and I clicked them. And I essentially clicked more items where I didn't know what they were until I had a full list. I have like 50 tabs open. And I realized these products are like parts of like machines of like this and like part of a table or like a doorknob or like something else. I'm like, interesting. Let's like dive into this because they were selling decently well. I wasn't going after like I was staying away from items that sell like 5,000 a month. I wanted to capture the items that are selling 100 a month and get a couple of those. So I realized, say, those like really niche products. There was not a lot of competition. I was maybe competing with three or four sellers. So then, as we would all do, contact the company, ask their distributors, open an account really easily, and kind of go that way. And what's interesting, there's a lot of benefits to it because those products that are extremely niche down, that are like, the stuff that people only go on there if they really need it. It's not like a shoe that someone's going to try on and return. It's something that someone actually needs. So if someone needs, a doorknob, they're not buying a specific doorknob with an OEM part with a specific part number. Someone's going on there to buy it because they need it. They're going to put it on and set it and forget it.
Mm.
So, thinking about it, it's really try to figure out who is buying your product. Again, if it's a shoe, is someone like gonna try it on and return it? Most likely, and then it's gonna end up coming to me, right? So if it's like an OEM part, like I mentioned with a doorknob, or like I've sold like gas filters before, like sculpting art supplies, stuff that's like extremely niche down, that it's like, wow, that's like, I can't believe there's a market for that. There is, and only a few select amount of an audience knows what it is, but when they come and order it, they need it. Not anybody is just buying it. And from there, those returns are extremely, extremely lower.
That was extremely well put. Thank you so much for that. So I did have a question back to your service. Actually, you got me thinking about something. So we would buy like car parts or whatever, and people would end up returning them used. They'd switch it out, right? Um, how do you figure that out? Like, what if you end up with that used, damaged part? Is there a disposal fee for us? Like, we don't know because it was a return to Amazon and they deemed it damaged, and sometimes that doesn't even mean it's damaged.
Mhm.
How do you like is there a fee for that, first of all? Like a
Mhm.
disposal fee or whatever?
Yeah, so currently I don't charge any fees up front. It's the straight consignment fee when I sell stuff. I've sold very weird stuff so far that actually has a market for. So I'll just list it, do the same process, do the same rule. After 30 days, I'll do whatever I can to sell more. 60 days, 90 days, then we'll take a look and it's like, okay, if it's not selling, I'll tell the seller, let's just toss this. This is not moving. Maybe it just moves on Amazon, which most likely it sometimes is. eBay maybe is not the best market for some stuff. And, that's the case with a lot of the parts and OEM parts. Really, you got to know where to place it, what market to place it in, and usually that's Amazon. Not really much else. Maybe you'll get one sale here and there, but to answer the question, the returns, they happen. It's always going to happen, but you can always look back at your data, and like we do with Seller Amp and Keepa, we know how something's going to sell. You could always look back at your data of returns and guess how many returns you're going to get, and per item, try to calculate that when you're buying, you know, new inventory or sourcing new product. How many returns am I gonna get compared to, another item? Like if you're selling a shoe and you're sourcing another shoe, okay, I could probably expect the same percentage of returns because that's what the item is. So again, it's knowing who you're selling to, but you can definitely mitigate your risk with returns for certain products. Absolutely.
That was very thorough. Thank you. Does anybody else have any questions for Israel? Either his service or his business or anything like that? Thank you. Go ahead, Sebastian.
You just brought up something I totally overlooked. You're talking about return fees with shoes and all that, and probably other categories. Whenever, for example, you sell a shoe online on eBay, and do you accept returns? Oh, I'm not sure. I don't really sell much on eBay. Like, is there an option for be like, hey, no returns? Because I'm not sure if you sell something, customer returns it to you, and do you hold the potential cash for us about like a week or two just in case that ever happens? Or yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question because it goes into, reselling it and doing it yourself. You still have to deal with the customers and their messages and all their requests. The first question, we don't accept returns. So you'll see on all our listings, no returns accepted. If someone makes a case like a request, item not as described, item not delivered, we have to go into, see if something was actually shipped out from the warehouse, or if something, was stuck in transit, we got to contact the carrier and get a reimbursement for that. If something was not as described, so it was used or someone had a dent in it, or we had just a big problem customer, we'll kind of deal with it ourselves. Is it worth it to get it returned? Is it worth it to give them partial refund? Is it worth it to give them a full refund? So again, it's all built into the service that we completely take care of to let you focus on what you need, what you do best.
Okay. So I wouldn't say it's your problem now, but it's like it's your responsibility, I guess, to deal with all that. Yeah.
No problem now.
Okay. I
I am
was trying to word
fine.
that properly. I was like, I don't know what else to say.
I'm fine with you inheriting my problems. Like, I'm good with that. I will take the 50% cut. Does anybody else have any questions?
Ask me about Amazon. It doesn't have to be about my service. I have, you know, a lot to talk about Amazon as well. Your selling journey, like IP complaints, any complaints, anything. I still sell on Amazon not too much, but a little bit.
So with your Amazon, do you sell on Walmart at all?
No, I do have a Walmart seller account though, but I never got into it.
Okay, depending on how old it is, you could probably sell it. Um, so Oh, I just had one. Do you have a VA do your sourcing for Amazon?
Yes, I do.
Do you have a VA for everything?
Yes, right now I have 4.
VAs are so important. Oh my gosh, they really relieve a lot of stress. And as business owners, you have if you think you've outsourced everything, you haven't. There's always something to be outsourced. Like right now, even though I can't get a VA to do it, I am going to start outsourcing my grocery shopping and I need a personal assistant. So I'm hiring a old classmate of mine to do that. I don't need to be going grocery shopping. Here's my list. Go get it. I'm not dealing with crowds, cars, traffic, any of that. I'm done. Um, which type of VA for your business, Amazon, yourself, whatever? Which one do you think is the most important for either e-commerce, whatever? Which one do you think is the most important for your well-being and your mental sanity?
Um, in very short terms, a good person.
A good person.
Shortest terms, a good person. I've hired people with either minimal or no experience with Amazon, and I taught them from the ground up because it's really not hard to teach, just because I liked who they were as a person, as I got to know them. I've hired through referrals of that person. It's like this person really needs a job. They're a really good person. Just like give them a chance, and I did. And that's really all that it comes down to. It's just a good person because that is a very long-term play. That
Hmm.
person will stick with you for life and will, it's not going to leave you for like a higher salary because, they don't care about, the money or how much you pay them. They care about you, your business, and they will be with you every step of the way when they grow up because they understand it's a long-term play too. Just treat, everyone like you want to be treated, be a good person, obviously yourself, and just look to hire good people. It's not easy. It is far from easy to find a good person and the perfect person. But just keep going. Nothing is easy. But I will say it's the most important thing is just a good person.
Yeah. And how, like, did you use a service or like you said, you went for through word of mouth, but you're like a referral from your one VA. But like, how did you find that first one? Did you go on like, did you just Google it? Did you have a referral?
It was Online Jobs PH.
You did go that route. Okay, cool. Um, an admin VA is king, Sebastian says. Yes, admin work is definitely needed to be outsourced. I don't even want to look at my Google Drive. I don't want to look at my email. It's disorganized. I just I need to set up those systems. Israel, for your business, for your email, like your Amazon email, your order email, wherever those all go, do you have so I know you're very good with softwares and AI and whatnot. Do you have filters or rules set up so that if an order number comes in, it goes into an order folder? Or are you just having an admin VA manage your email or AI?
Okay, so email wise, right? And orders. Okay. So the orders usually, so for Amazon orders, right?
Yes.
Oh, okay. That's it's funny that you mentioned that because I forgot that's completely like on my end handled. I forgot that even still happens just because the VA completely takes over. And yeah, it's completely handled. She knows all the vendors, she knows all the suppliers. To answer your question, yes, everything is completely handled, and you know, it's gotten to a point where I say, can you do this? Like I don't really even teach anymore. I just want to see if they could handle it, and they do. It's not that hard. Which brings me to one more point. Even like there's a fear in a lot of people that is, I can't, nobody can do this but me, but you have to let that go as much as you can. Every minute, second, and hour of your time is so valuable that even if a task is taking up like just a little bit of time, just give it off to the VA, add another rule, add it to the operating procedure, to do every day, to check every day, because these time adds up. And before you know it, in a month or two or three, like you'll be so hands off where you won't really know what to do with yourself. And that's ultimately always been my goal for all my businesses.
So thank you for that. Do you have your VAs handle IP complaints? Like they just go in the email, they find the information that they need, and then they submit it.
Hmm.
So that actually brings me to another question. So your VA, does your VA have access to your email, or did you have a forwarding? How did you do that? Do you use LastPass?
Hmm. They have access to the business email.
Just straight up, you gave them your password.
Yep, that's the power of trust and a good person. And I hope, and you will know when you found that person. It's like, yeah, that's fine. No, they're not going to do anything. It's fine.
I like,
That's the power of trust and, the love you have for the people that work for you.
I like that. Thank you. I'm trying to think of anything else. Do you have a VA for buying for your Amazon store?
Buying, like sourcing and buying.
Yeah.
Yeah. They have all my credit card information. They go in, they buy. In the inventory tracking software that I built, essentially it notifies us in the Google Sheet when an item goes below half of the stock. So essentially, if we bought 20 and now the stock in Amazon is below 10, so half of that stock it's at 9, we know what to replenish. So they would go and they would see the sales data um, from Seller Central for the past month, and going forward what it could be like, and they just replenish right away and go to our vendor and supplier. And it's always been about not having everything there and like building software, but how fast can we make, and what can we do to cut down the most time that we can to get the most done, which is time.
Mhm.
Try to save the most time as you can.
That's a great KPI. Actually, we've been talking about how we're going to outsource the buying to our VA. We've been talking about this and talking about this. Well, I am happy to report yesterday we gave the VA email access and credit card access. It's done. It's happening. We spoke it into existence finally. Sebastian, go ahead with your question.
Yeah, since you said you do have a team of 4 VAs, do you delegate them for specific roles? Maybe you have one VA only for admin, 2 VAs for sourcing, and that fourth VA is your most trusted VA where they kind of could manage every other VA. So if they have problems, you could delegate, hey, speak to this VA first before you speak to me.
Yeah, I'll tell you like what kind of, so my main VA, my admin VA handles pretty much a little bit of everything, from listing items to going into client portals for like eBay and like shipping and answering eBay messages and answering the request. And if they're done with that, they go into Amazon. Hey, what could we do with Amazon? Can you source some products? Whatever. That's one that does pretty much everything. And it's like, hey, do you have any tasks for me? Like, I don't have anything to do. Okay, let's source. Okay, let's check like credit card statements to make sure all the fees match up. Okay, let's go into shipments and make sure that the distributor sent over all the items that they should have, and we're not missing out anything from, and compare that to the shipments that have gone out with Amazon. The second VA handles all of the admin tasks in the nighttime side. So they log on. They've logged in about an hour ago. They go from like now until like, I guess, 8 hours, whatever that is, something in the AM. They handle all, again, eBay messages. They turn on sales. They do repricing on eBay, and this actually does take like 8 hours because one fun fact about eBay is they love when you're active on it. So constant activity on it is huge, and that's where a lot of sales come in. So I wake up to a lot of sales that usually come in from overnight, and I would guess from like California time as well. They love it when you're active on there. My other VA does my outreach, so it's right now it's about 100 messages on Twitter a day, outreaches. And then that's a mix of replying to comments, or sorry, replying to tweets, liking tweets, following, all that fun stuff. Same thing with Instagram, 100 messages a day, replying to posts, liking, connecting, networking. 100 LinkedIn messages a day. I'm getting much more active on LinkedIn to get a lot of the really, really, really big corporate sellers to get them on as clients. And I have a very big email marketing structure that's sending about 500 emails a day to a mix of warehouses and potentially sellers, from, the leads that I get. So what I've learned with that, with outreach, is like, it's all a numbers game. And if you're outreaching to like 1,000 people a day, you just need 1%. And that's like a client a day, and you're good. And my fourth VA is actually just listing, listing. They're focused on listing.
Wow, that is a lot. You have 4 VAs. So, do you have them all on meetings at the same time to value for your time, or are you in meetings with each of them?
I try not to, sounds bad, but I try not to even talk to them. I try to let them do what they do. Um, I've never been a big fan of like, hey, like this isn't this. Like, obviously, if there's a mistake, I'll say, but honestly, I just let them do their thing. I know they're doing it right at this point. Every morning, I'll say, good morning, and like any updates, what's up, any questions, like, oh, no, all good. And if everyone's good, all right, continue on with the day.
I
Everyone,
love that. That's a level of trust too, right? How many times have we been in a job and or maybe none of you have worked in corporate or had meetings or whatever. You get to the meeting and you're like, this could have been an email. It's the same way. Just text your team and be like, hey, do you need any help with anything? You don't need to be like team meeting every day. Like I mean, unless you're like it's a sourcing VA, then you definitely in the beginning want that. Dari, have to acknowledge your people every day. I'll say that I'm very busy. I will say, and my VA is very well aware of that. He knew that we were going on a trip to Nebraska for the sellers retreat, and he reached out and was like, hey, have a great trip, and we'll talk when you get back, or I'll let you know if I have any questions. Like we always we told him too also that we were going on a trip and that we would be available through WhatsApp if you needed anything. So clear communication in all businesses is very crucial, whether you provide a service or you have a VA. I like that you're extremely clear in your communication, and it's the same way with your VAs too. So I commend you, and I putting a great trust in your team or employees or your warehouses. Like you have to obviously trust the prep centers too. So that's incredible, and it's working out for you. And you know what, if people make mistakes as business owners, we can't flip out. People are learning. You wouldn't flip out. You wouldn't like it if your boss flipped out on you, so you're not going to do that. Everybody in here, if I know you, which I think I know majority of people in here, I know you're all very kind, loving people, trusting people. And I know that VAs would love to work with you, and other services would like to work with you or have you as a client. And I think the reselling community, I'm kind of getting off topic here, but I think the reselling community is a majority are very understanding people because we've been put through the ringer, right? Regates and pivots and restrictions and I don't know, section threes. We've all been put through the ringer and we have a level of tenacity and like grit, right? It's time to let go of those death piles. Like you got other things, better ROI tasks to do. Um, does anybody have any questions? Any more questions for Israel? His time's very valuable, and we usually cap these at an hour, and we've reached that point. So if anybody came in after the links were dropped. Here is Israel's Calendly link to book a call with him. And here is his website again. Any final questions or final thoughts from you, Israel?
No, all good. Keep going. It's it's hard, but whatever you're doing, just, keep going. Don't stop.
It's not harder than working for somebody else.
But I
That's
think
for
it's
damn
not
sure.
hard or it's not easy.
It's not easy,
Yeah,
but
that's what I meant to say. It's not it's not easy. But we'll get
yes,
there.
keep grinding. All right, Israel, thank you so much for your time. We're going to end the call. Everybody has your contact. And if you'd like to follow Israel on social media, I did tag him in my most recent story post. Otherwise, let's all have a great week, the rest of the week. Thank you, Israel.
All right, thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.